And welcome back, everyone, to the fourth and final game of the day, the 16th and final game of Stage 1 for the PUBG European League Contenders Promotional for Phase 3. My name is Esquire, joined here by Imperium to bring you the action for the remaining match with so much on the line. And that plane path is not going to be too friendly, heavily favored down here towards the southwest, but from east to west we go. And as we start to see those planes heading over, we are already starting to see some very fast departures coming out of the plane. Looks like CRIPS is going to be heading to their tried and tested location of Impala. Airwaves heading down to South Los Leones. And then the rest of the squads, will, if they had plans on going to the far north, they're either going to have to find vehicles or second guess that entirely.
Yeah, and it's going to be important that we kind of keep a close eye on the like SEEKORG, Elgiganten, Futbolist, YMCA, and even Istanbul Wildcats. Because we see Istanbul Wildcats, who are in 11th, they have 73 points, and SEEKORG, who are in 7th, they are on 90 points. So realistically, it is possible for Istanbul Wildcats with a win to top the tables. But this first circle, I say, could it be any more east? It probably could, but it's pretty damn east.
It could be, but I want to talk about a few quick things that we are already starting to see. So another team has dropped out of the game, are going to be starting with 14 teams to kick this match off. Team Elite and Why Not have both dropped out. They will be DQ'd. They're not going to be seen again here in this tournament. However, that still left Picado up in question because we saw the members of the ToxicPlayers divert off of their strategy. And once they saw that the members of the Team Elite squad hadn't joined the lobby, that they had planned on dropping on to the Istanbul Wildcats. ToxicPlayers, Istanbul Wildcats, both going to be squads that stood in the 12th and 11th place positions, respectively. But now, someone has finally left. Istanbul Wildcats, they've realized, look, sure, if it was Team Elite that we were going to be fighting against, maybe, but we are not going to be sealing our fate, especially to a team of ToxicPlayers who sit just below us on the leaderboard.
Yes, such a wise choice, especially with that circle being so shifted to the east as well. Esquire, you want to get into some form of a solid position inside the circle, ready for the next phase. Loot up, get a good position, be aware of the teams that are potentially going to be around you, and just move on up. Take control of you putting your team in the best position to qualify for stage 2. CRIPS E-Sports, they are in, I believe, 13th place. They do potentially have a chance, but it's going to require something special.
Something special is is definitely going to have to come out from one of these squads. SEEKORG, they had some, at least, teams contesting them inside of El Pozo throughout the course of Stage 1's tournament. However, now, at least in the past few games of Miramar, they have found themselves completely wide open, free to their own devices to loot through this western city. But that shift is going to be the important concept for them to remember. Having to go so far from west to east is not going to be necessarily easy for them.
No, it's not going to be necessarily easy indeed. We do see Powerful, who, look, as I was kind of saying, realistically, the top 4 or 5 in the standings, Powerful, Airwaves, MJ, 4K, Enviik, they've all really secured their position. There's no real chance that they're going to drop out. And Powerful, they're looking to end this Stage 1 with a potential chicken dinner for their team.
Over here in the Monte Nuevo area, high ground will be held by one of the members of 3D Max. Noki loots up in the mini Coliseum. Pretty standard game outside of ToxicPlayers displacing the members of the Istanbul Wildcats. Certainly, Powerful will be happy with that northeastern position around El Azahar that leads them in the northern side of the circle. But for the meantime, at least if it's going to be anything like last game, Imperium, where we saw pretty much no commotion until the very late stages of the mid game, and then the late game just erupted. Well, I think that's what we're going to be seeing here. A lot of teams have a lot on the line, and they're going to be playing a bit more passively, a bit more risk adverse than they would have previously in the tournament.
Plus, with the fact that we now have we have another team that hasn't turned up, which is Elite. that's now 8 less players in the lobby compared to in a normal game. So it creates even more space on the map for the teams who generally go where they want to in the early parts of the game and then get ready up for the late stages. So yeah, I think it's going to be, as you said, a very passive start for these teams. But if you find an opportunity to get a knockdown, to get a frag, go for it. And that's what Alpha DN are looking to do.
Ooh, and Futbolist is not looking to be on the receiving end of these shots. ToxicPlayers definitely need the kill points, but they also need to not go out early here. A lot of damage being applied. Alpha Don going to be dropped down to 29 HP as Futbolists have caught out one of the members of the ToxicPlayers in the open. It's going to be Archie dropped down and out with the Mini 14 of Huith. As the trade comes back out, Sammy Toxic onto Genzo. Both teams trying to make their way into the top 8. Both teams losing out early here in the game.
And there's also going to be Tarlans from a distance are going to be looking to fire shots out towards Futbolists. But either way, that's not a bad start from them if they can keep themselves alive as a 4-man team. But they are kind of split up. As Gluttony does get knocked down, he does get taken out by Tarlans.
Yeah, this could be Futbolists really, really losing their spot here in this top 8 position. Yeah. And with only being 6 minutes into the game, that's not when you want to have that realization whatsoever. Tarlans coming in with a huge third-party presence. As we continue on, though, around the map, rotations will begin to come out if they haven't already from those far western sides of Miramar that a few teams did stake their claim to. This far east circle is no stranger to this lobby, though.
Yeah, and I kind of don't get why Futbolists didn't rotate as a 4-man team or move out as a 4-man team why they kind of left that member on his own. I get it, it's a bit of an insurance blanket, but when you're fighting for points, in my opinion, early game, just stick together as a unit, stick together as a 4-man team. But Istanbul Wildcats is spotting out and beating up one member of Airwaves.
The Dobnik going to be connected on 3 shots, find his body. One more will drop him out and send him onto his knees bleeding, and that's going to be it. As the Istanbul Wildcats pull back off of this, they don't want to sense any pressure coming off of the other members of Airwaves, but also Tarlans, who are now looking this direction. Thankfully for the Istanbul Wildcats, Sadovnik is in a ditch, no lines of sight to provide for his kill steal coming in for the Tarlans. But ToxicPlayers, look, Futbolists, they were trying to avoid ToxicPlayers after that engagement. Now, ToxicPlayers rolling up on the northern side of their compound, going to be scouting it out, possibly moving in. We'll have to wait and see how that engagement goes.
Yeah, we've seen one member of Istanbul Wildcats has been knocked down, but the return fire from Levent onto Mackin puts them in a bit of a situation. Put Airways in a bit of a situation where they're down to 2 players. But Enviik, Robin, Solar, he sees him. He's going to run over across the road, try and spot him out. I don't think he's going to be able to do it because there's too many houses down there that Robin can just kind of hide behind.
Approaching the 10-minute mark of the game, phase number 1 going to be closing out in 35 seconds, giving us that phase 2 shift, which is going to give us the better perspective as to where the landscape for the mid-game will take place. Elgiganten making a rotation around the far northern side of the circle will be approaching that powerful compound, but at the same time, powerful, also recognizing the fact that they need to prepare for this movement that could shift away from them. Again, the water in play here on the eastern side of the circle will not be shifted out until phase number 4. So until then, we could see some very, very devastating circles for all teams in the lobby.
I reckon Impala would be a good place to kind of... Oh, actually, no, sorry. I was wrong. I'm just going to shut up now because that zone is heavily shifted northward.
You don't want to ruin your percentage rate of guessing circles, right?
Exactly. What I said didn't actually come out fully, so it doesn't count.
No,
right?
exactly right. It is not counted, but what does count is the repositions coming out right now here from Elgiganten Gaming. They could be finding themselves positioning just down the hillside from the likes of the 4 Kings. 4 Kings have heard the vehicles, but Elgiganten does not have any awareness that a team looms just above where they have pulled off.
Oh man, I just can't believe that circle shift so far northwards. I really can't. But Grishka Power is spotting it out. See, they're not going for the shots, and that's really clever play from 4 Kings. Not yet. You just spot it out, you give the communication, and you go from there. Although they are looking for Powerful, who are on top of that hill.
This is a circle that we don't typically see in competitive PUBG. Very
No.
rarely does it go all the way up here towards the northeast and kind of shifting so far over to the east where that area of play is. You know, here's the thing. Miramar, it's been out for a long time, Imperium, but still there are small areas on the map that do evade at least the knowledge of some of these teams. Able to find a nice knock there onto the members of CRIPS. The trades come back as Poncho was able to find another one onto Webby, but now grenades are being prepped. Both smokes to provide concealment and frag grenades, rather, to provide pressure. With 2 bleeding out for CRIPS Esports, it's going to be sending them in a bit of a retreat to try to reset off of this engagement and not fight any further.
And because that phase 2 was such a huge shift northwards, we're actually seeing a bit of an earlier kind of cluster of teams coming together than we normally have seen in the past couple of games. SEEKORG, most notably on the kill feed, has taken down a couple of members of YMCA, and they are fighting to find their spot in the top 8 as Panchok does frag out one member of CRIPS.
Yeah, the battle still will be raging on, at least down on the southern side of things, as rotations from the Istanbul Wildcats continue on here through the blue zone. A late rotation for them after having disengaged off of Picado, where they were displaced by the members of ToxicPlayers. But essentially, this is the way they need to play it. They need to try to extend it as far as possible into the late game, pick up the kills then. Don't take these engagements where you really get nothing outside of position, if position is even one of the factors you're considering in taking that fight.
100%. It's such a wise strategy that they can pull out by going into the blue zone. It's not really putting out that much damage. They're going to be able to survive. But MetPro, fantastic mini 14 shots.
Good shots, however, in the kill feed. We were talking about that rotation, and Slippy for Istanbul Wildcats going to be getting a knock to himself by his own hand. So, you know, those mistakes happen, but when you don't want them to happen, 2 situations. 1 in the blue zone, and 2 when other teams are around you to capitalize on that mistake. MJ-Esports going to be rotating around the southwestern bend of the circle. They're going to be taking the page out of the book of the likes of the Istanbul Wildcats. They're going to be making the far rotation. Noki, 3D Max, they hear this coming in, though. They're going to be pulling out of their vehicles, maybe seeing if they can get some shots, as this phase 3 shift is going to be coming out shortly. And again, phase 3 could be deadly. All the way up to the north we go. Water no longer going to be a factor here, as it centers up just a little bit north of the position held by Powerful.
Oh man, Futbolist are in a solid position, but they've got to be aware of the teams down south. Enviik, 3D Max, Tarlans. They're in a line, so to speak. But look at what 3D Max are doing. Look at what Wago is doing. He's going in through the water in the safest position. It's not something we usually see, Esquire, but I actually think it could work out.
Yeah, it's not something we usually see, and it's kind of a product of the fact that we don't see this circle usually.
Nope.
You never really have an opportunity to take a boat up towards the north here in Miramar in competitive PUBG. Very rare, but in a bad position will be one of the members of CRIPS Esports. It's going to be Metabe, the last player alive from the vehicle explosion, and the nade coming in. The kill going to be taken away by the members of Powerful. Sadovnik Airwaves trying to get a spray down onto MJ-Esports, who are maneuvering those Broncos through these bits of valleys, which just kind of showcase how difficult it is to rotate here on Miramar.
That's so hard, but at least by putting it into the valley, you actually really stop your opponent from potentially blowing it up or taking you out of that vehicle. So that was overall good response coming out from them. Airwaves are now going to have to really push back. MJ-Esports fighting with the blue zone in this situation. We're hitting the 14-minute mark. These teams are getting closer and closer together, as I said, because that shift in the zone is so far northwards.
Fighting from the blue zone, trying to land shots outside of it onto the members of Airwaves will be MJ-Esports. They got stalled in that rotation by virtue of the terrain they were trying to maneuver, and that's going to force even more northern of a shift for them, and it's not going to be bad. They're going to be able to find a good entry off of the western side of the circle as El Azahar becomes a hotbed for destruction. SEEKORG moving in off of the eastern side of things, trying to keep the members of the Istanbul Wildcats at bay.
And you touched upon how these teams and how these players might not be familiar with every aspect of the Miramar map, and even more so in the northern part of the map, because it's not really heavily highlighted or played in competitive setting. So you wonder, kind of, are they really familiar with a lot of the northward areas of the crevices, of the peaks, of the parts of the map that you can really kind of cover behind, or even put a little bit more aggression on. So this is going to test these teams and test these players in the best possible way, which personally I love to see.
Yeah, I think this is one of the exciting parts about PUBG Esports, where of course players hate whenever casters say it, but when players are put in difficult situations that force them to showcase not just mechanical gun skills but also strategical thinking, that's where the PUBG Esports experience really shines. And we're starting to see that right now as the next shift will be popping off. Enviik, however, able to find a frag onto Hawk of Airwaves, and the third party comes in. A Turbo Banana of YMCA able to come in and steal the kill away as Sadovnik goes down. This is a four-way engagement right now. Absolutely insane as Airwaves gets dropped down and out, but now the Tarlans are under fire. The push coming off of Enviik from the southwestern corner of the map is absolutely devastating. Just going to be Ermac and Maga on their feet, trying to throw some nades, trying to find the connections as one of the members of Enviik bleeds out. Spray comes out, M416 shots, not going to be ringing true, but still trying to keep the members of Enviik at bay for at least 30 more seconds until the blue zone starts to creep its way forward.
Oh my, this is absolutely crazy between these teams. YMCA, though, from a distance, have been able to get a couple of pop shots off onto those teams, and that's actually good because YMCA need all the kills, all the points that they can get, because they are currently lying in 10th place, but very close in points to 8th position. Esquire, as Tarlans, they're just fighting to stay alive. ToxicPlayers also in the distance, just doing what they can, but this blue zone is now going to start to do a lot of damage.
Maga was knocked by a grenade coming out of Enviik, just leaves one member of this Tarlans squad to stay alive, and it's going to be Ermac trying to get into the vehicle. He possibly alerted Alphadon of his presence, definitely saw the member of the ToxicPlayers start to approach, and quickly popping out. It's going to be a 1v1 scenario down here on the map. Both teams trying to do whatever they can to stay alive. Spray comes out, and Alphadon gets connected upon, will be dropped out. Thankfully has teammates to keep their hopes and dreams alive here as they currently sit in 12th place position, not outside of being able to reach into those top 8. Tarlans go out here in 12th place in game number 16. That's definitely going to be all she wrote for their squad as they go back to the drawing board for 2020.
Yeah, that was still a great... I know it doesn't mean much, but that was still a great frag at the end for them, right? With those peaks onto that one member of ToxicPlayers, if there's anything to console themselves on. But either way, this game continues, because for these remaining 11 teams, particularly 3 or 4 of them, they have every chance to acquire as many points as possible to secure their spot in the top 8. One of them is ToxicPlayers right now.
Looking at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, yes, you did see it. ToxicPlayers happy. The solo player, essentially, of that squad was able to pick up a double kill onto Enviik and wipe them out of the game. This is at least what they need to be doing. They have several win conditions to meet to find themselves going into the top 8 and going into Stage 2's tournament tomorrow. But they're not there yet, as Temple Wildcats trying to do the same. As Powerful is feeling some presence coming in from 3D Max. Able to find the first knock, though, will be Norcus with the Mini 14. This is a 3v2 scenario at this section of the map. And Phantom and Solar are trying to do whatever they can, both frag grenades and smokes being deployed to try to have that opportunity to get a res onto Wago.
Well, I gotta give credit where credit is due to 3D Max. Once again, in this game, in Miramar map, they've done absolutely excellently to enter each circle without any trouble on their side. It's only now in phase 4 that, of course, as the teams get closer, they are having to put pressure onto the teams that they're going into. This is going to be frag. This is going to be a push coming out from 3D Max. Can they get it done?
3D Max did recover off of that. They were able to get the res, but they were also outside of phase number 4. Blue zone now going to be ticking away as they have pushed into the concrete compound, but it's going to be the Overwatch position held by Ghostar that is going to be spelling disaster, but the push comes in. Fanon able to find a knock and a flush onto Norcus. The blue zone going to be taking down Wago. I believe just 2 left alive for 3D Max's Solar gets dropped down as well. Just going to be Phantom and Noki left to try to do whatever they can to work their way out of this concrete complex that is soon to become a graveyard for one of these squads. Will it be Powerful? Will it be 3D Max? Huge nades coming in. Noki able to find one onto Marshalik, able to flush him out. Just now going to be Ghostar up on the hillside, but he's able to find the frags onto Phantom. This could be a 1v1 scenario. No, marked out a 2v1 as Morpheus and Ghostar both to the top of the hill looking down onto the members of 3D Max.
Oh, such a good fight as Ghost Star in the Overwatch position, as you highlighted, is just going to be able to frag out, and that is putting 3D Max in a situation where they are down to 2 players, 1 player, no, 0 players, as they are eliminated in 10th place, and it is only 2 players left alive on the side of Power. Ghost Star, who did such a good job in that position, is now going to have to try and run his way into the circle.
Yeah, Ghost Star and Morpheus, the 2 remaining players of this powerful squad, have made huge strides throughout the last 4 days to make it to this point in the tournament. There is no surprise that we find them at number 1 position. It's by no fluke. It's by their own skill and strategy that they have found themselves here. But with 9 teams remaining, just past the 20-minute mark of the 16th match of Stage 1, we've got 20 players alive. Doc comes out happy of the ToxicPlayers. Will be found, will be flushed out of the game. Just going to be Sammy Toxic, I believe, to try to stay alive for his squad. They've got to push further and further. Nothing is secured for them. They are so close, though. If they can just pull out a top placement, maybe top 3, a few more kills as well, ToxicPlayers could be there.
Well, of the teams that need points, right, to get into the top 8, you've got Istanbul Wildcats, and you've got YMCA, and you've got Elgiganten, as well as SEEKORG. So these are the teams that really need to take advantage, really need to push on through from a points point of view. And Forex on the side of SEEKORG is starting to get it done. And Turbo Banani, that kill is taken away by 4 Kings.
MJ-Esports on the wrap could be finding Furax from SEEKORG here shortly as they start to eliminate flank positions from the southwestern side of phase number 5. 4 Kings very split up across the road. SEEKORG is going to be spotted. Janu with the M416 finds the shots on Furax.
That really does compromise SEEKORG's overall position because they were in 7th. They were on 90 points and they were only 6 points ahead of 8th position and only 7th ahead of the likes of 9th and 10th. So that's really going to be tough. It's out of their hands now, right? All they can do is just watch on by and see what these other teams can do. The likes of YMCA, the likes of Elgiganten, and of course, Istanbul Wildcats.
The far southern shift will be a bit difficult for one team particular to have to maneuver. And that's going to be Enviik all the way, or rather the Istanbul Wildcats all the way up here towards the north. They are going to be suffering a very quick knock off the SKS headshot of Higgy from the 4 Kings. And keep in mind, 4 Kings, they're spread out. They dominantly hold on to phase number 6, at least the north and western side of things. But the question becomes, you see the field, you see what the Wildcats have to cross to get to safety. How will they be able to do it? They need smokes to at least maneuver their way from hard cover to hard cover.
And all they can do is just look to kind of split up within reason and put kind of one person at a time with kind of to a certain extent. So you kind of use one person as a bit of a distraction while a couple of other members do try and move in. But 4 Kings, they're turning their attention onto Istanbul Wildcats. Shots being fired in the distance by Phosphor. Trying to go behind that vehicle is Istanbul Wildcats for now, staying protected. Although that one final member of Futbolist, who is just doing his best to stay alive, he's going to be able to possibly get that frag onto Istanbul Wildcats, and he does.
Leaves just Slippy Zerg, who spots out the member of the Futbolist. Huth goes down, and Istanbul Wildcats survive at least another placement. Top 7 secured, as Slippy Zerg, the solo player, somehow miraculously was able to make his way off of that wide open position, take the flank around the eastern side of the circle, but is still going to be facing off against the blue zone, where Ghost Star, powerful, trying to set up here on the shack where Elgiganten is held up. The third party comes in. 4 Kings Phosphor going to be able to find an SLR shot onto Ghost Star, wipes him out of the game. This is the stage where the third party here on Miramar is oh so devastating. You think that you've got a good position, you think you've got a good push onto a team, and all of a sudden, from a different angle, from an unknown angle, the shots come in.
Oh man, and Istanbul Wildcats, they're doing so much to try and get into the top 8. Based on my kind of rough calculations, they need another 10 points to make it up there, because SEEKORG, who went out, they were on 90 points. They will have gotten, as far as I know, 0 points in that game. Maybe I'm wrong. So either way, Istanbul Wildcats, they need a lot more points. YMCA, they're putting themselves in a strong position based on placement points and kill points, but I feel like they need a little bit more. But 7 teams, 14 players alive, 25-minute mark of this game, and phase 6 about to close out as Phase 7 is revealed.
Janu definitely having a bead on one of the members of the ToxicPlayers, Sammy Toxic, the solo player for this squad. But the question still remains, do they know that there is a member of the YMCA team right below them as well? Shots come out. MJ Stratus able to find the M416 connection onto Nella. Is going to be tossing the nade inside of the shack. Can he thread it through that window? Yes, it will be going through. Savage out of the shack, around the corner, finds the spray down. Will be going down and out after finding the knock on to Stratus. But it is going to be that Stratus nade that ends Elgiganten's hopes and dreams here in the final game. 6 remaining as they push on, trying to rack up as many points as possible. ToxicPlayers have been spotted. Sammy not having a lot of room to work off of before the blue zone pushes in 5 seconds.
I don't know how many kills Elgiganten got as a team. They will have gotten a couple of placement points, but is it enough with the kill points that they might have gotten to secure top 8? I kind of don't think so, because we are down to 6 teams. The side of YMCA and Istanbul Wildcats, they're still in this. It's absolutely crazy, Esquire.
It is crazy. One team that's not going to be in this is ToxicPlayers. Sammy got spotted and dropped out of the game as the 4 Kings are under fire. Grishka, Power, trying to hold on here. This is one of the big plays that the crates can also make. They provide you with utility in the form of that level 3 kit and a powerful weapon, but they can also drastically change the landscape here and give you that hard cover in the final moments of this game. 4 Kings trying to make the cross right in the face of the Istanbul Wildcats. Is able to find one knock onto Manny, trying to find the flush, and will be able to do so, resetting the position in search for more.
Perfect. Get the frag. It's another point. Every single point counts for Istanbul Wildcats at this stage of the game. 5 teams, 9 players alive. They gotta try and get into the circle, though. You see MJ-Esports from the other side is looking for them, spotting for them. And no, Istanbul Wildcats are going to be eliminated in 5th place. Have they done enough, Esquire?
It's going to be really hard to tell. They're either a few points shy or they did secure it, but the final leaderboards will definitely tell us that in just a few minutes' time. This game, it's going to close out. PUBG games don't last forever, and YMCA Esports are figuring that out right now as Coyote going to be dropped down and out by many of MJ-Esports. 3 teams remaining, 4 Kings on the northern side, split by MJ-Esports, and then a solo Morpheus of Powerful trying to extend his team's lead even further.
So all of these remaining teams, they've secured their spot in the top 8 right now. These are fighting for bragging rights. They're fighting for confidence. They're fighting just to kind of say, hey, look, we got the better of you in this game. 4 Kings definitely looking stronger. Phosphor is a little bit split up from the rest of his team, but the good thing about that is you have that scout that's able to position and kind of look around and find out the remaining members of their opponents.
Interesting positions going to be held. Frag comes out. Many with the scar able to find the connection onto Grishka Power. Juno dropped down very low. Has to try to get some meds back off of this. MJ-Esports has been able to accumulate 5 kills so far. They pretty much can't worry about Morpheus from Power whatsoever. It's got to be between these 2 squads of 4 Kings and MJ-Esports. Powerful does get spotted out, though. Stratus is able to pick up the 7th kill here for their team, and they do have the 4 Kings on the back foot. It's going to be 1 left, just Phosphor for the 4 Kings, trying to keep his hopes and dreams alive, and he's able to find 1 knock. Can he find more? Can he reset? The crate becoming one of the most impactful bits of cover we've seen in late game competitive PUBG. The 1v2 scenario, able to find a quick spray down, but doesn't find the headshot. That could have been huge as Stratus preps the nade in Phosphor's direction. Nade will be coming out. Phosphor rotates over towards the east, able to avoid it for the time being, but will eventually be forced into Mini, who's taken the flank.
Can it be the 1v2 for Phosphor? Can he get the job done? I mean, he takes a little bit of damage. Phosphor is also kind of somewhat low in health. Is he going to be able to turn around? And nade is being thrown into direction. Phosphor is going to be able to get the job done. No, but he goes down to about 2 health.
3 HP working with it, trying to hold the hillside. He needs 1 quick spray to come out without being connected upon. Is not going to be able to do it. And MJ-Esports, Stratus with the game-winning kill. 9-piece chicken dinner for MJ-Esports to end out stage number 1 of the PUBG Europe League Contenders Phase 3 promotional. And what an exciting stage 1 it was. Imperium, a lot of questions that the leaderboards are going to be answering for us here shortly.
Man. Yeah, I can't wait. I just want to skip everything and just get to the overall leaderboard. But of course, we'll take it stage by stage, step by step. Overall, that hard shift up northwards, that really did test these teams. It tested these players. It would have been somewhat unusual circumstances. And I got to say, the teams that really responded to well were the likes of Powerful, of course, Four Kings and MJ-Esports, as well as the likes of YMCA and especially Istanbul Wildcats, who were under pressure. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic game overall. That shift put a lot of surprises, and that loot crate at the end provided so much cover.
It certainly did. It allowed at least some teams to work a little bit further into this game than they had expected. But overall, it was a very outstanding tournament. I'm thoroughly excited to see how these top 8 teams will continue on throughout Stage 2, where the competition ramps up just a little bit further than what they faced off against here in Stage number 1. This was a pretty impactful engagement as well. It didn't wipe out Powerful, but it gave the members of 3D Max at least a few kills to pick up.
But look at Ghost Star, though, as we talked about, that Overwatch position did so much for the team, helped get the squad elimination, and helped move them forward along with Morpheus in the later stages of this game. Sippy Zerg, he was doing his best. He got 1 elimination, 1 squad wipe. And as I said, I'm just really curious to see how many points these teams acquired through kills and placements to see if they've made it into the top 8.
The Four Kings were so close to closing out that game right there. He was so close to having that spray down. Every time a head popped up from one of the members of MJ-Esports, it was just about a millimeter that separated him from finding the kills after that first knock, making it a 1v2. But a good effort nonetheless from all teams around. This was ToxicPlayers' last-ditch effort trying to keep Sammy alive on the southern side of the circle, and were not able to do so. Big cross for the Four Kings coming out. That was capitalized on as well by the Istanbul Wildcats.
And that makes you think, if Manny hadn't have gone down, of course not saying that he did anything wrong, but if he hadn't have gone down, would Four Kings would have won that? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like little bits like that that really do make a difference. It really does make an impact. Also, Morpheus from a distance was doing so much work, but he did get taken out at the end after he did get that knockdown. And Phosphor did so much, but it came down to these moments.
That it did. The winner chicken dinner to round out Stage number 1 is going to be MJ-Esports. No repeat performance for chicken dinners here on the final day, which kind of went to show just how much was on the line, how hard these teams were fighting to try to rack up all of those points. Imperium, I'm curious if we're going to get a leaderboard here, because usually this is the board that we get to end the day, but hopefully there's no way. There's no way, Imperium.
They're making us sweat.
They're making us sweat. They're making the players sweat. I mean, who knows? It is. Hey, what's the temperature where you're at right now? Just curious.
Right now it's about 18, 19 degrees.
Oof, so it's kind of warm. Yeah, it's kind of warm.
Well, in fairness, the humidity in Ireland is quite high. So when it's warm, it feels a lot warmer. So it's things have heated up in here. Plus the fact that I'm casting these amazing games doesn't help things for myself. So yeah, let's see if we do try and find out what the leaderboard is going to show up. Personally, myself, I've kind of checked up on the
yeah. That's in your crystal ball along with your circle predictions, right? It's not for everyone to see. Here it is, though. At least we're going to start looking at the point totals from this 16th and final match of Stage 1. You can see CRIPS E-Sports, the only squad to walk out of this game with 0 points.
And yeah, Airwaves got 1 point, 3D Max got 2 points. They'd already secured their spot. SEEKORG was probably the biggest loser in that situation, but as we look at the top 8 of the last game of Stage 1, MJ, Four Kings, Powerful, and ToxicPlayers sharing the brunt of those kills along with Tarlans. So it's pretty even from a kill feed point of view.
Certainly, you can see just how hard some of these teams were striding to make those point totals work. Istanbul Wildcats were able to pick up 6, YMCA Esports able to pick up 6, Tarlans with 7, ToxicPlayers with 8. Those are 4 teams that we were looking at going into this game, but the ultimate question remains, was it enough? Before we switch in to the total leaderboards. And here it is. We'll take a look at what teams won't be joining us here in Stage number 2 first. Futbolist, Elgiganten Gaming, ToxicPlayers, Istanbul Wildcats, CRIPS E-Sports, Tarlans, Why Not, and Team Elite are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to improve off of their performances and come back with a fury in 2020 next year. But as far as Phase 3 continues on, at least for that fight to get into contenders, powerful, taking down a powerful first place position, 154 points. MJ-Esports, you're moving on. 4 Kings, Airwaves, Enviik, Team 3D Max, SEEKORG, and YMCA Esports. Those are your top 8. Moving on to the combat tomorrow for Stage 2.
SEEKORG survived by the skin of their teeth in that last game. YMCA was the biggest winner as they did get 6 points, moving on from 80 to 86 in total. And the biggest losers...
You see there's a three-way tie right there, Imperium, right? So I believe...
Okay.
I believe here, at least in the PUBG European Contenders Leagues, the first way to break that tie is by kill points. And I think as long as these leaderboards are correct, we don't have kill points next to the total points. But I believe that the admins over at StarLadder have put this together properly. Yeah. And YMCA breaks that three-way tie in between Futbolist, Elgiganten, and YMCA to take home that 8th place position.
Yeah, and it's just absolutely great job by YMCA Esports. And that's why kill points matter so much, right? Because when you have a higher amount of kill points, it's going to really affect your placement when you are tied with a couple of these teams. So great job by YMCA. Unfortunate from Futbolist and Elgiganten, especially Futbolist, because they did compete in Phase 2 of the contenders, but they're going to have to regroup and try again in the future.
That they are, as we take a look at some of the highlights throughout this phase. What an incredible Stage 1 contest that we saw played out. All 16 teams, congratulations to you for finding yourselves in this part of the tournament. Unfortunately, for 8 of you, it's not going to work out, but for the 8 that it did play in your favor, good luck moving in to stage number 2, which kicks off tomorrow. Play your hearts out. The competition is going to be a lot fiercer, but the stakes are even higher, where you're going to be even closer to claiming a contender spot for Phase 3.